Sentinel had a great write-up yesterday, gave it 3.5 stars out of 4. I'm sure that many people who are listening right now already saw it. If you haven't seen it, be sure to go out and see it. I noticed we got like a skeleton, kind of half a skeleton crew here today. A lot of people are playing hooky, a lot of people out for the holidays still. And it's worth seeing, believe me. The only problem is, and you're never going to believe this because it's 2 hours and 42 minutes. The problem with the movie is it's too short. Now, do you remember Godfather 2 in the theaters when it first came out? They had an intermission. I'm sure of that. And I don't know how long Godfather 2 was. I think it was like 3.5 hours, something like that. It was longer than this one. And they had an intermission for a few minutes. And to give everybody a breather and a chance to go to the John and go out and buy more popcorn or whatever. This one also should have been about 3.5 hours. Because many of the scenes, you get the feeling they're rushed. And like they're hurrying into things. And there are a lot of lines that are dropped from the first 2 movies that are repeated. And they're not always like at the right spot. Like Michael Corleone is saying to the nephew, he's saying, don't ever let anybody know what you're thinking. Just like Vito Corleone said to Sonny at the one spot when they were talking with Saluzzo about dealing drugs. But he says it at a spot where it doesn't make any sense. So you just get the feeling that there are a lot of things that are thrown in gratuitously, but it's only because they lack of time. But the only real negative out of the whole movie is Coppola's daughter. I mean, how do I put this delicately? She is so bad and so ugly and so grotesque and so smarmy that only the ending of the movie satisfies you on this. I'm not going to tip it off what happens, but the ending is poetic justice, okay? In other words, if they do make Godfather 4, she ain't going to be back in it. Trust me. I mean, here's a guy who spends $55 million to make a movie. They didn't have enough money to pay Robert Duvall to come back, and quite frankly, George Hamilton IV, he was there. He didn't really do anything. He was just there. But they didn't have enough money to pay Duvall to come back, who's a great actor, and would have added something. And he sticks his stinking little ugly daughter in there. I mean, she's got lips that are like up in the, I don't know, I've never seen a face like that in my life. Like she ran into a brick wall or something. And her cheeks, it looks like she borrowed all that cotton that Marlon Brando had stuffed in his mouth in Godfather 1, and she's got her cheeks all puffed up like she's got about, like a cantaloupe in each cheek. And her lips are like a road map. They're like up in, man, she is gruesome. Which makes you think that maybe Andy Garcia needs a good optometrist, huh? Crazy. Okay, let's do a little business now. It's 10:13. I have lots more to say about that. I'm sure that we have a few people who already rushed out to see it yesterday. And our Camilla's House total as of this second. And I knew there was a lot of mail hiding in the closet in there, which Yvette just came in and we started going through that also. $90,650. And we thank you all. This week, I'm sure, we're going to go over our $100,000 goal this week before even the new year. So make sure you get those checks in the mail. Your check could be the one that puts us over $100,000 this week, okay? Make you famous.
The most laughable shows on TV are right here on NBC. Tonight at 8, he's left the castle, but he's no one to hassle. He's the Fresh Prince Charles of Bel-Air.
I say, homeboy, best not be dissing me, or I'll hit you upside the head with my polo mallet, boy.
Then, go from rappers to rap sheets in Parenthood.
Hey, yo, I heard you cheated on a test in school.
Well, yeah, I did.
Hey, that's my boy. Now, give me your lunch money, you little creep.
Then at 10.
Hello, I'm Robert Stack. What does Dan Quayle really do? At what point do the new kids on the block stop being new? What could Jane Fonda and Ted Turner possibly have to talk about? Those are the subjects tonight on Unsolved Mysteries.
Yes, it's the best TV's got to offer, unfortunately.
10:17 at WIOD. We could kill it for the entire market, you know. We could just tell everybody the outcome of the movie and everything that happens, but we're not going to do that because that would be wrong. See, one thing about The Godfather, parts 1, 2, and 3 that make it fascinating to me is that so much of it is true. I mean, these are fictitious characters, although it's interesting in this movie they mentioned Lucchese, who certainly was a real mafiosi. They were starting to bring in some real names, and also The Vatican banking scandal was like the whole movie revolved around that. And the mysterious death of Pope John Paul I. Remember, he was like a pope for about 6 minutes, and then all of a sudden in perfect health, and he died in his sleep one night. And a lot of books have been written about that, speculating, of course, that somebody made him an offer he couldn't survive, and the movie, of course, verifies that. So I have a feeling, again, just like Godfather 1, that the Catholic Church is not going to be too excited about Godfather 3, that there are going to be a lot of wailing and gnashing and hysteria. But that, to me, that's what makes it interesting. Not too many years ago, you used to get all these denials. There's no such thing as the mafia. It's just a word somebody made up, Cosa Nostra, whatever the hell you wanted to call it. Now, of course, we know, right? So anyway, I'm sure that there are people who saw it. We can find all kinds of flaws. There's another thing in any movie. Even the greatest movies, there are certain things you can find flaws, like Bill Cosford, who's just a pseudo-intellectual. Although I'm surprised at Bill because part of this movie was filmed in Sicily and in the Vatican. And usually any movie, no matter what it is, that's filmed at least in part abroad, a foreign film, Bill gives at least automatically 3.5 stars. And he winds up with 2.5 out of 4. Man, I can't wait for him to be on the show. What day is he coming? Do we know? Are we working on that? Is he in town? Our crack production staff is working on that. Maybe we need Nick Lawrence back here at WIOD, huh? Maybe that would do it. So anyway, no, but that's his problem. He knows nothing about film, and he's just a pseudo-intellectual. A good guy, but he doesn't know crap. But the thing about Michael Corleone, he has, in one scene in the movie, he has a diabetic stroke, is what they call it. And it's really kind of bizarre, because they're like trying to hold him down. It looks like he's having a baby, like something is popping out of his stomach, and they're trying to hold it in. But anyway, he goes in a hospital, and he's like, oh, just a wreck, and barely survives, kind of a la Marlon Brando with the tubes out of the nose. And in the earlier part of the movie, you can see that he's supposed to be in his 60s. So it's at least 20, probably like 25 years later, maybe 30 years later after the second one ended. And he comes back home, and now in the last part of the movie, right up until the final scenes, he looks younger. Now all of a sudden he looks about 45, and his hair is dark. And I don't know what happened, whether they ran out of the gray crap that they put on his head and the hair, or what the hell happened, or he found a tube of Grecian formula or shoe polish that Reagan used to use. But in the second part of the movie, his hair, he looks younger all of a sudden after having this terrible illness. So that's another, again, if you want to nitpick and find little problems, which you can, more so in this one than the first two. But like I said, if you're a real fan of the whole Godfather saga and you really were into the first two, either when they came out or the younger people by watching on videotape since then, it's picking up right where you left off. And there are a lot of characters who are back in there. And the interesting thing to me is that Connie, Michael Corleone's sister, who was so hysterical. She's hysterical. Remember at the end of the first movie, she was all bent out of shape because Michael just had her husband, Carlo, killed. Now she's like really the head of the family. She's like the, can we say titular head? Ooh, that's bad. I don't think we can say that, can we? If you say it fast, titular. Okay. No, seriously, she's like calling all the shots. He's like, he wants out. He don't want into all this stuff. She wants blood, okay? She is heavy duty on all the revenge and the blood and the Pope and all this other crap. But the acting was excellent. What's the guy who plays Andy Garcia? That's his name. He plays Vincent. He was very good. Or does he play Vincent and his name is, whatever his name is. He was excellent. The problem with bringing back people other than Robert Duvall from the first two is that most of the people were killed off in the first two movies. You can't bring back Tessio, he's dead. You couldn't bring back Clemenza because Richard Castellanos, the actor who played him, died. They brought back Don Tomasino, but obviously the guy who played him in the first movie 20 years ago is long since dead because he was like 75, 80 years old when they made the first one. So they had to bring another old fart back for this one. Who else? Sonny, of course, is dead. Fredo is dead, although we have a couple of scenes in there. And then, of course, Connie tries to convince Michael he didn't shoot him after all. Maybe he drowned, whatever. It's great. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And all these pseudo-intellectuals are going to say, it's a bomb. It's not so great. Is this a movie can you refuse like it says on the front of the hero? It's fine. It's excellent. It's well worth seeing, okay? I mean, it's no Mr. Deeds Goes to Washington, but it's not too bad. Okay, 23 after 10 at WIOD. We got some calls on there already. So 751 in Dade, 524 WIOD in Broward. and 655 in Palm Beach. Let's do another little piece of business. I'm sure we'll probably have some people out there who've already seen it. Now, when we talk about this, if that's what we're going to talk about, among other things today, don't ruin it for everybody else. Because I'll have to dump if you want to ruin a movie for everybody else and spoil the ending, because that's no fun. I have a feeling, though, there will be a Godfather 4. I just have that feeling. In fact, this is the kind of thing, there should be one every year. Okay, let's take a call from Boca.
Boca?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got me?
I got you.
All right, I'm Glenn from New York. I'm visiting my friend Bob in Boca.
Yeah.
And I'm just, shocked that you like this movie so much. I mean,
You're shocked?
I'm shocked. I was looking forward to it just as way you were.
Yeah.
And because I loved Godfather 1 and 2.
Right.
And my son is 15. I had to talk him into seeing this with me last night because I said, you're going to love number 3, too. He couldn't understand why I liked 1 and 2 so much.
Did he see him?
Oh, he saw him last week on HBO, back to back. And he said,
I'll tell you, there were a lot of young people in the Merced Theater yesterday, and they seemed to enjoy it.
I can't understand it,
know.
Neil. To me, Robert Duvall is the only person who's going to come out of this movie unscathed. And the money problem, I think, was they couldn't pay him enough to be in this horror. That's my...
What was horrible about it?
Well, first of all, it was laughable at points, where people, I think, were laughing in the theater I was at.
Well, they were supposed to.
Well, I don't think they were supposed to. I think it was just such a joke. Some of the dialogue was so foolish, so ludicrous, that it left people uncomfortable, and they laughed nervously.
Like what?
Let me think about particulars. To tell you the truth, Neil, I can't give you a particular instance of a line. Which money? Oh, it's $100 million gift from the very big. The second I saw him give $100 million gift, so he could get like a pin from the Pope, I said, "This is outrageous. This immediately is preposterous."
Why is that?
Who gives $100 million?
Well, he didn't you pay attention to the scene where the Archbishop, he was offering him $500 million to take over the Bank Immobiliare?
That was for a corporation.
I understand, but the point is that they had billions of dollars at their disposal, and that this was a regular thing. I mean, in addition to what difference does it make what the amount was?
Well, the amount makes
the amount was purpose. Well, that was the point. The amount was purposely made to a preposterous total to show you how much influence the mob and the mafia had over the Vatican.
Well, it seemed ludicrous to me when I first heard that figure. Nobody makes a personal donation of that size. And it would be like exposing himself as the mafia don that he wanted to hide from the public. Now,
but he wasn't a mafia don anymore. That was years ago. He was legitimate at this point.
Well, he was getting, not quite, he was getting out and paying off.
No, he was
later
out.
on.
No, he was out. In fact, it seems to me you missed the thrust of the whole movie because in the beginning, I thought that all these people that were opposed to him taking over the Bank Immobiliare and making this deal were legitimate, and it turns out they were the ones. They were the biggest crooks because they were all the ones who were stealing and then ripping it off.
Right.
And then once he got in there because the Pope at that time wanted to be legitimate.
Neil, the thrust of the movie is the one line where he says, "The higher up I go, the more crooked it gets.
Exactly.
The more honest I want to be." So
right.
Here he is tied in with.
And then there was a line about politicians and gangsters or whatever it was. No difference. That's right.
Right. They throw in these little intellectual lines or.
Yeah, but you see, you're looking at it from like a pseudo-intellectual. You must have watched it with Bill Cosford. You must have.
I didn't read anybody except this one in the Sun Sentinel who gave it 3.5 stars.
Yeah.
And that made me even want to look at it more. Now, the camera tones, everything was dark. I felt like from...
Well, and you mean to tell me Godfather 1, everything wasn't dark?
Not when they were out. The wedding scenes were light. When they were outside, it was bright. Here it was dark, even when they were outside. Now,
in Sicily, it was dark?
I'm not going to give away the ending. But how about that very last scene?
Well, that.
Are you going to tell me people in your audience didn't laugh? The very last thing.
No, I didn't laugh. I just wondered what the hell it was. It made you leave wondering that like there's more there that you're going to find out. I mean,
no. The last scene.
I know what you're talking about.
I tell you, I cracked up. People were screaming, "Thank God!" And his daughter.
People were screaming, "Thank God it's over."
No, thank God he's over.
Oh.
And.
The daughter was, I mean, there's no way you're going to get me to cover up for the daughter.
Okay, now...
Francis Ford Coppola ought to be shot for putting her in that movie.
And she is a fundamental part of the movie.
And she's a fundamental disaster. She is the most grotesque. There was some broad on the CBS Morning News this morning, Mark McEwen, who's filling in the weather guy, the fat
black guy.
Yeah, he was talking about how he saw it, he enjoyed it, and there was some woman on there, and you could tell he couldn't stand Coppola's daughter. He said, "What about the daughter? Do you think she took away?" You know, he was really upset with that. And this broad, I don't know who the hell she was. She's saying, "Oh no, in fact, she was so natural. She didn't come on like an actress, and she came across like a lovely Italian girl." Well, I got news for you. If the Italian-American Defamation League don't get pissed off about that, because if she's a lovely Italian girl, I'd hate to see an ugly one, okay?
Okay, now when she says, "Dad," you gonna tell me you didn't laugh?
Oh, well, listen, stick her in the desert and don't give her a map. That's all I can say.
Okay, now how about Eli Wallach? You gonna tell me he wasn't an
I'm glad you brought it up. He was awful. I'm glad you brought that up. His acting was the worst.
Okay, now you gonna tell me I was in a different movie than you, Neil?
Huh?
You're gonna tell me I was in a different?
No, I liked the movie, but you're right. There are points. His acting was terrible. Eli Wallach he came across about as Italian as Meyer Lansky. I mean, he was just awful.
It was. Well, then how can it be now with all these bad things?
No, there are two bad acting jobs.
Well, these are.
And let's face it, up until the last third of the movie, he was hardly in at all. He was like a joke, you know. He was like. You know, and she wasn't, in spite of you say she was the centerpiece of the movie, I don't agree with you. She was like incidental.
She's not the centerpiece, but she is fundamental to the plot of the movie.
She's only fundamental because she's so ugly.
Well, but what Andy Garcia has to give up.
Now, was he good? Was he excellent?
Michael has to give up.
Was Andy Garcia excellent?
Well, Andy Garcia is a fine actor.
But he was good.
He's great.
And was Al Pacino great?
Al Pacino, I looked at him, I thought he was Jerry Lewis with gray hair. That's the impression I had of Al Pacino. I thought
well, maybe it was Jerry Lewis. Maybe, you know, he's a midget now. I don't know.
I was ready for Jerry's kids to come out and ask for a donation.
Well, they're busy in the Vatican. They're all altar boys. Listen, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Have a great life.
Right. Well, thank you.
Okay. Well, he didn't like it. See, now, I will agree that some of the things he says are true. I loved it. I really did. I'm going to go see it again at like a real movie theater with a real big screen. Instead of sitting in the third row with, I would have rather watched it in my living room on my big screen TV. I mean, it's such, those little Mickey Mouse theaters, I'm sorry. But that's just not for that kind of a movie. It may be okay for like one of those garbage movies like Peter Rabbit or Roger Rabbit or whatever the hell it is. Okay, 10:34. We have 2 open lines in Dade County. Let's get with it today, huh? 751 WIOD and 1 in Palm Beach, 655 946-3. Yeah, Eli Wallach was awful. I mean, not bad, horrible. I kept thinking. I'm glad he brought that up because I blocked it out of my mind. I kept trying to forget about that. He was an abomination. His acting was so pathetic and so embarrassing.
The pub smokes dope. The pub smokes dope. God gave him the grass. The pub smokes dope. He likes to smoke in mass.
Okay, the Archbishop's going to be all upset. I wonder if you think the Archbishop is going to go see this? Man, is he going to be all bent out of shape, huh? Maybe he needs a loan. Speaking of a loan, our total now, it's just amazing. This is as of the mail that she's given me. I'm sure there's more in the building. $91,390 for Camilla's house. Boy, we are doing it, aren't we? You folks are doing it, and we appreciate it. Keep that money coming in this week. I have a feeling we got we can do it. We can really do it. If you put your head to the millstone, your thing to the grindstone, we can go over 100,000 by the end of this week. Unbelievable. You know, I set that goal of 100,000 figuring we did 78 last year and knowing we had the tapes and the T-shirts this year thanks to a T-shirt Bob and the people at Captured Glory. But 100,000 is a lot of money to raise, especially in a year when money is tight. And people are tight, and it's just not one of those great years, and we're just doing it. Just keeps rolling right along. $91,390. North Miami.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
Okay, I was the third guy in line at the California Club yesterday.
Yeah?
For the Godfather.
But you had your clothes on, though, right?
You got it.
Okay.
Me and the Cardinals.
All right.
All right. I agree with your assessment on the first two, only I gave him a 10 and a 10 on the first two. This one, I give about a 7.5.
Well, that's not so bad.
I think she took it downtown, the daughter. And the only thing I thought of when I saw Eli Wallach, you remember the old laughing shows?
Yeah.
They were seen in the park.
Artie Johnson?
You got it, with the cane and the white thing. That's all I thought about. Was I expected them to go boom with the cane.
Yeah, he was. He was ridiculous.
Pathetic.
He was pathetic.
And rather than Jerry Lewis, I thought Al Pacino was Scarface without the accent.
Yeah.
He looked exactly like the Scarface.
He was good though.
But he carried the picture. He was sensational. You know what I think also? I liked, like in the second picture, you got this, you knew who the bad guys were. Hyman Roth was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
This picture, they didn't get, I think like you say, they rushed it. You didn't get enough into the Lucchese guy,
right?
Into the guy in the church that was doing a number on him. They just, skipped around that.
One thing I will say, though, when I left, I thought, just like the first one, you have to see it about 3 or 4 times before you pick up on every little nuance. Now, the thing about Lucchese, where he did the number with the eyeglasses.
Right. That happened so fast.
It happened very fast, and there was a shot afterward. Now, who got shot?
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. See, we're not going to ruin it for anybody because we saw it and we don't know.
No, but I'll tell you,
because he sure didn't go in there like on a suicide mission. He must have had a gun planted somewhere. But that was amazing.
But after all is said and done, I felt great when I walked out of there because if nothing else, Connie remembered the cannolis.
Right. And this time she did him right.
But like you say...
Did you like the way when he said to her, you're so skinny, why don't you eat these?
You're right.
Total paranoia. And she took it and she it was almost like a sexual thing, the way she put that thing, just the end of it. Well, I don't want to get too graphic. No, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, she didn't eat any of it. She gave it a little...
I gave it a little...
something,
little
yeah.
Lick.
Right.
A little lick.
A little lick. That's exactly right. And then, of course, that was good enough for him because he was like me. He had a heavy appetite, and all of a sudden he's picking out and going nuts.
Everybody at the opera sits there jamming down about 23 cannolis.
Yeah, he sure went nuts on that whole box, man.
Yeah,
By the end of the movie, he had eaten the whole damn box.
Right, so I love the opera.
And also, there's a little nuance in there about Michael's son. Now, I don't want to make any suggestions, but when he started speaking, in the first scene, remember she brought him in?
Yeah.
And she wants him out. She wants him to forget about being a lawyer. He's going to be an opera singer.
Right.
And when he first started talking and his wrist started wagging in the wind, I thought, wait a minute, they're trying to tell us something here about Michael's son.
Right.
And then she was reading when they were at the opera, and she said, we have a telegram or something from... What was the name? From Douglas or some man's name.
Yeah.
And says, I hope he sings better there than he does in the shower.
Oh, no. I think Douglas was the husband, her husband. Right?
Her husband?
Yeah, remember she introduced him in the first scene, this is my husband Douglas, when she walked into the first party.
Connie?
No, not Connie. I thought that was whatchamacallit, Diane Keaton's husband. Douglas.
Douglas?
Yeah, if you remember, that's one of the things. In the beginning of the picture, she said...
Oh, well, okay, now I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
I thought there was like a little subliminal message there. I didn't know what the hell they were talking about.
Gee, between that and a cannoli.
Yeah, there you go. But you enjoyed it, right?
Hey, you're kidding? You know what the thing is? You have a tendency to try to compare it to the other two.
Right.
The other two, if you just went in and saw it, you'd say, great picture.
Right, that's right.
That's the problem. But you're right. I think after, seeing it 130 times like I did the other two, it'll be the same thing.
And the thing about the Vatican banking scandal, I mean, to me, that's, a lot of people who went to see it, they just wanted to see the violence and all the, all that crap. But the Vatican banking scandal and the mysterious death of the Pope and all this other stuff, boy, this sure puts it right in there, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't know how many people realize, but when you saw that guy hanging from the bridge, in fact, the banker, that's the way they found him.
That's right.
Hanging from the bridge.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more fact than fiction.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. The Vatican's going to give it 4 stars without a question.
Yeah, right. Have a great one.
You too, Neil.
See ya. Yeah, all the archbishops and the cardinals, even the St. Louis Cardinals and the Phoenix Cardinals, are going to have like a special screening on this baby, I'll tell you that. Great part of it was only $3. Matinee yesterday, $3. How the hell do they make, although in that theater, they should pay you $3 to watch a movie in there. I hate to do that because I'm sure that there are a lot of nice people who run that place and all that, but, oh, man, to watch a movie like that in a little rinky-tinky theater like that, awful, terrible. But I will say this, the crowd was well behaved, because before the movie started, they started for some reason like 15 minutes late. I have no idea why, because the place was full. There was, nobody else is coming in. It's packed. They had 2 of them open. They were both packed. And they started 15 minutes late. And the thing is, I watch my satellite dish, every movie under the sun. And I've told you for years that's the way to watch in the comfort of your home, because you go outside and they're talking and they're hocking a chinik and they're eating and throwing stuff around. And during the movie, more often than not, they're opening up a big mouth. And we had a bunch of yentas from Sunrise sitting in a row behind me. And much to their credit, with a couple of exceptions, at one point, oh, there's Diane Keaton, but other than that, they kept their big fat mouths shut, because everybody was really engrossed in the movie. I mean, you really got into it. Until a daughter showed her. Oh, man. I'm telling you, I could do 4 hours on her face. Well, I don't mean that. No, God forbid. I could do 4 hours talking about her face. She is, like her lips, not only are they like thick and like mealy, but they like go up in like strange directions, like a mountain, like a range of mountains, not just like a single peak, but like up and all around and everywhere. And her cheeks like somebody has put a balloon or blown up something and stuck it in each cheek. She's comical looking. She's ridiculous. And here she's standing there. She's so gruesome. And Andy Garcia's like, he just blown off the face of the globe over her. He's just obsessed. And, of course, she also turns out to be his first cousin. So maybe he thought they grew up in Nashville or something. I don't know. Anyway, it's 10:45. More mail. Look at that. 91,390, by the way. And we got more mail here. And I'm telling you, by the end of this week, we're going to go over 100,000 this week. And we're going to dance in the streets. We're going to dance, I was going to say a Kazatsky, but maybe we'll do like the Italian dance like they did in the movie yesterday. They always have a scene where they're dancing. And there were several scenes that attempted, obviously, to be like a throwback to the first one. And there were certain scenes where the music was even the same. Like there was some restaurant they showed. And you remember the music from Louis in the Bronx. And Godfather 1 where they had the clandestine meeting. Wasn't it Louis in the Bronx?
Luigi's?
No, Louis in the Bronx, Mr. Wise. It wasn't Luigi's. Louis in the Bronx. You even saw the sign that said Louis. Okay? Luigi's. Get out of here. As Sonny would say, get out of here. Okay, 10:46. See, I'm obsessed with the whole Godfather thing, so I probably cannot be objective in giving you my assessment. Probably people who are more pseudo-intellectual, like Bill Cosford and others, will 2.5 out of 4. What does he want? What the hell does he want? God. Here's a mobile on the Star Line.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
I went to go see the movie yesterday.
Yeah?
And on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 10.5.
Really?
Movie was excellent. I saw it with some friends at Pembroke Pines. I thought it was great.
10.5?
I was expecting a lot from the movie, and it came through all the way. And
yeah.
You've got to...
Well, I kept thinking that, like in the middle of the movie, I thought, because you prejudge based on all these reviews, and you hear that some people thought it was mediocre, and I thought, boy, I'm enjoying it. I love it. What the hell do they want? I think it's great and really interesting.
And it's it's more or less like a true, it's a true like movie about the Vatican and the banking and all that stuff. I mean, it was excellent.
Right.
Neil, did you
But you would agree that there were some. Well, maybe you wouldn't agree. Some of the acting.
No, they needed Robert Duvall. He needed the sidekick he had in part 2.
The sidekick, right? They needed Robert Duvall, and they needed Eli Wallach to get on a bus and go to the Bronx or somewhere to Louis and get shot early in the movie. And the daughter. Now, am I wrong about the daughter?
You're gonna think I'm crazy. I think she was sexy.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
I really thought I thought she was sexy.
What, have you spent 20 years on death row at Rayford or something, sir?
She's exotic looking. I mean, how many...
Exotic looking? With those thick, gruesome lips and those puffed up cheeks? Man. Okay.
Neil, did you see the part when his son was singing the theme to The Godfather, but in actual Italian words?
Yeah.
That was great.
That was great. And, of course, then he started thinking back to Apollonia.
Right, but most people didn't know that was... They thought it was a song. They didn't know that was the theme to The Godfather. Some people I was with, they didn't catch that.
Oh, yeah?
So,
strange. Well, what do they know?
But it was...
You got to remember, yesterday was Christmas Day, so all the Jews went like me and saw it yesterday. All the Goyim were celebrating Christmas, so you got to keep that in mind.
No, but it was...
What do Jews know about Italian?
It was a good movie, and the scene where he had the meeting and he told everybody, I'm out of the business, and he gave everybody, $50 million checks here and there. And,
right. And then the chandelier started shaking.
Yeah, didn't go too far.
And then the Eli Wallach. Do you see the way he waddled out of there just in time when the chandelier started shaking?
Yep.
Yeah, that was he was terrible. I thought I was embarrassed for him.
Andy Garcia.
Excellent.
Great.
Yeah.
The scene when
you watch. There's going to be a Godfather 4. Andy Garcia.
Yeah, he's the new Don now.
He'll have that Jerry Lewis haircut in the next movie, and it'll be great.
Yep. And let me tell you, I was worrying about how they were going to end the movie. I think they ended it the only way they could. I think that was the only way you can end that movie.
Well, you got to think about that ending. I don't want to give it away.
Right,
but,
you got to think about it.
Yeah, a lot. It just obviously there was a passage of time in there, and you got to figure out what they're trying to say.
But you got to think about it. How else are you going to end the movie? I mean, that's more or less how you got to end it without ruining it.
Right, and then it kind of paves the way for the next chapter when Francis Ford Coppola needs some more money.
Right.
And when his daughter can't get another job. Okay, have a great day, pal.
Okay, thanks.
1049 at WIOD. We have an open line on the Star line, Star IOD, one on the Palm Beach line, 655. I bet you that sometime between now and the new year, Southern Bell might fix line 5. Boy, does that piss me off. I can't believe how this is like at least close to a radio station, okay? May not be like for real, but it's close to it. And here we are doing a talk show, and it's only, I realize, 1 out of 8 lines, but the point is, it's just like they don't care. They're oblivious. Like they got other things to do, okay? Like go out and do tap dances to Jingle Bells or something, or play golf, right? Let's get with it, okay? Bob, what's his name? Nixon? Larry Mixon. Man, you always, for years, you have taken years off my life at Southern Bell. You really have, working with these Mickey Mouse phone setups that you people put together. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. We ought to turn you over to Clemenza. Sit in the front seat. We'll let Clemenza sit in the back seat, okay, and we'll see what happens. North Miami.
Hello, Neil.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Okay.
I went to see the movie last night at 7 o'clock, and I thought it was very good, but people that are having a problem with, they're hard to identify with because it's like in modern times. You know, it's a lot more glamorous. It's back in the 40s or in the 50s.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to identify with the, with the mafia era in that time. But when you look at it like in the late 70s or whenever it's supposed to be, people have a hard time with, making romance out of the movie. So I feel that's what took away from it. But I think it was still a great movie if you look at it objectively,
Yeah.
So
on a scale of 10, what would you give it?
Well, I wouldn't give 10 to the other ones either because, they had some bad acting in the first two. If you look at some of the characters, Fredo was horrendous in both of them, I thought.
You thought Fredo was bad? Fredo was what he was supposed to be. He was like a wimp.
He was very bumbling, but he used to stagger on his lines, too, if you looked at it. I have both movies on tape, and I watch them at least once a year, and I see that, he wasn't really that well. That's why.
Well, they shot him, didn't they? They got even.
Yeah, but have you seen?
That's what happens. Lousy acting, you get shot.
Right. He hasn't been in anything else since. So it's very. That's a little bit.
They should have told Coppola's daughter that before they started filming a movie. You do a lousy job of acting, you get shot.
She was horrendous. I thought her appearance. But if you go to southern Italy, you see a lot of people like that. So you really can't blame.
You do? Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
You've been to Sicily?
Not to Sicily. I've been to Naples and stuff, and it's very.
Well, I've been to Naples too, Florida.
Yeah. But in Naples, Florida.
Well, I'm never going to southern Italy if they all look like that.
No, you got to go up north. But
gruesome.
The movie, I thought the movie was very good. Compared to, they say Goodfellas is the best, movie made in the mafia genre. But I think this is a little bit better because the drugs took away from the glamour of Goodfellas too. When you look at it in the later period, you saw it when they were a long time ago, it seemed better.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Well, I noticed that mostly about gangster movies.
I did watch Miami Blues a couple of nights ago on Christmas Eve. It was on Cinemax or one of those. I thought that was one of the most pointless movies I've ever seen in my... And I watched it primarily for the scenery, because you live here, and there was Biscayne Boulevard, and there was Coral Gables. But not too much. And it was pointless. It was just gratuitous violence.
Right. That's what... And even Scarface, he was pretty good in that, but it just took away from being in the, the drug era of the 1970s and stuff. It just isn't the same as, back in the 50s or 40s.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Neil.
Thanks. Otis.
Hi. The reason Fredo hasn't been in any more movies is he died of cancer about 8 years ago.
The actor who played Fredo is dead?
John Cazale.
Are you serious? Now I vaguely remember something like that.
He died of cancer.
Well, a lot of people from Godfather 1 are dead. Yeah. Almost everybody. Richard Cotti is dead. Richard Castellanos is dead.
Yeah.
The whole bunch of them.
You realize that Joey Zazo was Montagna. What the hell's his first name that Cosford always raves about?
Joseph Montagna.
Yeah, that was him, the one that he thinks is so wonderful.
Well, what did he do? He didn't do anything.
Well, he was Joey. He got his ear bitten.
That was good. I like that.
I like that part. The only disappointment I had in the picture, I heard that there was supposed to be a flashback scene where Marlon Brando starts singing, "The family cares about you, and we want you to remember, be a part of our family." But other than that scene being missing, I thought it was a great picture.
Yeah. Well, on a scale of 10?
I'd give it a 8.5.
Outstanding.
It was very good.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Now we're getting some of the people who aren't. See, if you want to go there and look at it as a movie buff or some kind of a critic like Bill Cosford, then we can go and, Eli Wallach stunk and the daughter was terrible, and we can go and analyze. And like I said, there were a lot of scenes that were rushed, and you felt that this should have been like a 3.5 or 4 hour movie, that just the timing wasn't the same as like in the first one where it seemed to be perfect. But nothing in life is perfect, right? That's what the Pope said. Anyway, Rich Pachter, who is now a superstar, of course, having been on with Rick and Dud, sends me a review of Godfather 3 from Reviews Magazine. And basically it says, this is no blood-sucking pharaohs in Pittsburgh, but it's pretty good. Now, it says, do they give stars on these or not? I guess they don't. But the review is very good. It says, faced with the extraordinary task of recapturing magic he created 16 and 18 years ago, Francis Ford Coppola, the guy with the ugly daughter, has come very close to completely succeeding with Godfather Part 3. While certain flaws may prevent it from being regarded as the full equal of its predecessors, which are generally ranked among the greatest modern American films, it nonetheless matches them in narrative intensity, epic scope, socio-political analysis, physical beauty, and deep feeling for its characters and milieu, who used to play for the Montreal Canadiens. In addition, it certainly is the most personal of the three for the director. Well, that's because he got his whole damn family in there, his father and his ugly daughter. We have two open lines in Dade, 751 WIOD. The Lard Father is on?
Hey, Neil, what's happening?
Yeah.
Anyway, I went to see it in the shoebox, too, yesterday.
Yeah? How was it?
And I thought that was, I would give it an 8, Neil.
Oh, what's wrong with that?
I think it was a great movie. The two things that killed it was the daughter.
Yeah.
And for a girl to have so many scenes, he could have picked somebody else, somebody who could act.
Somebody who even if she couldn't act, at least look good.
I understand.
Like if you go back to Godfather 1, now Apollonia. She couldn't act, but she was a knockout. She was a 45 on a scale of 3. She was beautiful, so who cared if she acted when she took her clothes off, half the audience passed out.
I still have dreams about Apollonia.
Well, so does Michael, obviously.
Obviously, he went back.
In fact, I think that's what...
Did you catch the one flashback what it meant? When he was sitting there and he was...
About Fredo in the boat?
No, not with Fredo with the boat.
We had about 3 flashbacks of that. It seemed to me the moving thing behind his difficulty. In other words, he could handle everything else he did, but the one thing he couldn't handle, like when he was confessing to the priest...
Right.
And the one thing he couldn't handle was the fact that he had shot his own brother. Right. Or he had him shot. Everything else, it seemed he was okay. I mean, he shot people, he had men shot, but he had shot his own mother's son, his father's son. That he couldn't handle.
And I'll tell you, the rapport between Andy Garcia and Pacino was great.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, you could see the way he told him, you're just like Sonny, but he knew because of the way he handled himself that he could take it over.
Yeah.
It was a great movie.
Well, you could see in the beginning with the temper that he was just like Sonny. I mean, they made that very clear. And,
absolutely.
But at least he didn't get shot on the causeway. At least he took a better route.
That's right. Did you feel it was among the top 10 for this year?
Of this year?
I mean, the year
easily
of 90.
One of the top 5.
Yeah, I did too. And another thing I want to touch base with you on, Neil. What we were talking about last time on that about the kid that in the second Godfather. Who was his name? You were telling me about him.
The kid in the second Godfather?
In the second Godfather. The one that played Anthony. Remember, you told me you thought he was going to take it over? The way he didn't come to the door for his mother?
I told you that?
Yeah, we were talking about it one. You said, when the Godfather 3 comes out, you thought he was going to be the successor.
I said that?
Yeah, because you said the way the girl went to the door. Remember when Michael shut the door on her?
You had this conversation with somebody else, not with me.
You, about
with
a year and a half ago.
Oh, a year and a half ago? Well, geez, how the hell do I remember that? I can't even remember what horse I bet on Sunday night. I'm supposed to remember that?
You're a Scorpio. You remember everything.
I remember nothing. Only horse races from 30 years ago. I remember like it was yesterday.
And Joe Ginsberg from the Tigers.
There you go.
Take care, Neil.
And Myron Ginsburg. Have a great day.
Bye.
And Arnie Ginsburg. It's 11:12 at WIOD. We're really Godfather intensive today. We make no apologies for it. Everywhere you look. In fact, on the news last night, they were showing the scenes in the New York theaters. They were, in fact, this bitch that was on this morning on the CBS Morning News, she was mentioned the fact that the theater she was standing online, they were starting to have all kinds of disturbances, and all these police cars had to pull up. They were screaming and shoving and pushing. You know, in New York, that's unusual, of course. 11:16 at WIOD. I guess you'll have to twist George's arm to eat a little something. Jeff is here from Pizza Loft. And his wife made this beautiful painting for my house. I can't get over it. Was that before or after the fillings came out? During and before. Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much. And also a little eggplant, enough to feed the Chinese army. And probably some stuffed shells, I bet, for some of the other troops here. Boy, what a guy. And also, Jeff has brought by, we should get some good bucks for this, a pair of club tickets, club seats for the Blockbuster Bowl in Joe Robbie Stadium, which is coming up, of course, on Friday at 8 p.m. And also a preferred parking pass to go with it. So here's a pair of club seats and a preferred parking pass. Now, how are we going to do this? We take bids, and they'll have to bring the money in tomorrow, like during the show? Because the game is Friday night. So if you want to bid on these, let's start at, now these are worth ordinarily, huh? Oh, yeah, that's right, plus dinner for two, no charge at the Pizza Loft before the game. So this is a worthwhile package because this would cost you, now the ticket price that's on the ticket is $32, but that's only because these people have the big bucks and they buy their seats ahead of time. But ordinarily you'd pay $100 for, huh? For each seat, yeah. So that's worth $200. The parking pass, of course, is worth $1 million because if you don't have a parking pass to go to the stadium, forget it. And, of course, dinner for two. So this is a pretty good package of goodies here, and the game is sold out and you can't get in anyway. So let's get some bids on it, okay? Starting at $100 minimum, and hopefully get a lot more than that. And we won't do that on the air. Just if you want to bid on them, tell George off the air, and we'll write it down, take your number, and we'll see what's going on. We do have an open line on the Star line, Star IOD, if you have Bell South Mobility, and also Palm Beach 655 WIOD, Plantation.
Good morning, Neil.
Hi.
You know, the mistake everybody's making is well, I know it's going to happen invariably, but they're comparing it to 1 and 2, and
Exactly.
they can't do that.
Exactly.
The movie stands on its own.
Yeah.
And if it was made independently of those two films, everybody would be ranting and raving.
Well, see, I compared it in terms of rating it, but I also watched it with the idea of watching it in association with 1 and 2, not comparing it to it.
Exactly.
In other words, does it fit in, and does it add to it, and is it an ongoing? And it is. And I was thinking when the movie ended, if there's any movie that should have ever been a soap opera, this would be it. Can you imagine if this was on for an hour every week? How fantastic! They could get an 80 share on network TV with this saga.
It was great, and for whatever motivations Coppola had, more power to him.
Well, he needed
the
money.
He did a fantastic job, considering 16 years since Part 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people go to the movies expecting, Luca Brasi swims with the fishes and Clemens is starring this off.
By the way, did you notice the fish tank? There's only one fish left in it now. Not only are the people all dead in this movie, but the fish are all dead, too.
No, the movie
There's only one
stands
big
on its
fish in there, and he looked like Luca Brasi.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway.
What about her acting, though? And again, I'm not trying
She didn't
to...
act, Neil. I don't know. He stuck her in there because Winona Ryder quit.
Mm-hmm.
And, like you said, she was the weak link, and she was...
I think even Mitch Ryder would have been better than her.
Ugly.
Dave Ryder.
Neil, she was so ugly.
Yeah. The guy who said that she was, what did he say, erotic? Man.
What?
He said she was erotic.
If she's erotic,
I think,
then, I don't know.
I think he meant erratic.
My husband said that they should have put the ending in the beginning, and he would have felt better about the whole movie. She was so ugly, my God.
Can I tell you something? I don't want to give that part of the movie away, but before it happened,
yeah,
I was wishing it. I was
I'm
thinking,
telling you.
Oh, man. And when it happened, I thought, oh, my God, a dream come true. This must be my Christmas gift.
Oh, God, my life.
Yeah.
She was the weak, her and Eli Wallach.
Eli Wallach was the most embarrassing, the silliest, the most ridiculous.
Very silly, exactly. Silly is the word.
And I'll be honest, he's touted, he's always been such a great actor, and the other one that they touted who's since died, since Godfather 2, the one that played Hyman Rothmeyer Lansky, what was his name?
Strasberg.
Who had the acting school and all the great actors studied under him.
He was boring in
I
that
thought he
movie.
was terrible. I thought he was like a caricature of the character, and the same thing with Eli Wallach in this one.
Oh,
I mean,
Eli
Wallach
Wallach
was just
awful.
terrible.
I
Awful.
think he was wearing Larry King's teeth.
Yeah, he was silly.
No, but, you know...
And then when it turned out that he was one of the real movers and shakers, you know,
Hard
it
to
didn't
believe.
fit because he was like a
silly.
comedian, you know.
Exactly. And her, Talia Shire, she turns out to be a real...
Yeah. But that was good, though. It was good because she looked the part. She had that evil, nasty, hostile look, and she met it, you know.
That's right.
She was always like hiding in the broom closet, and then when he said, okay, I want the order.
Right.
I'm asking for the order, and he nods his head, okay, and she comes in, he says, it's all set. And you can tell she's the one orchestrating everything.
Oh, yeah, she became the whole mafia.
Yeah, in fact, you can just see her sitting in the Vatican with the Pope having a little tea right now. Can't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A little
You know,
cappuccino.
when you think about it, and this will be tacky for me to say it, but I'm not making it up. When you think about the fact that it was on Christmas Day,
That's right. I thought the same thing.
and it was such a
Poetic justice.
incredible, no, but it was such an incredible indictment of the Roman Catholic
Absolutely.
Church. I mean, just
It was all true.
and all true,
All true.
but devastating. You have to wonder if there aren't some people, especially like Archbishop McCarthy, who of course has his skin so thin it's like paper. You know,
Yeah.
his people are going to be hysterical.
Well, Neil, we can hope for a part 4.
Like Connie in the first movie, they're hysterical.
Yeah.
Part 4 is definitely, you can see all the seeds are planted, right?
Yep.
No question.
That ending was excellent.
Only not 16 years later. Let's have this one next year.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks, Neil.
Have a happy.
You do.
22 after 11 at WIOD. Getting any bids on these tickets for the Blockbuster Bowl? Good. 250 already. Great. These are club seats. These aren't like nosebleed seats. These are outstanding club seats, preferred parking sticker, and dinner for 2 before the game at the Pizza Loft. How the hell can you beat that with a split?
And now, David Bowie for Preparation H.
Flame, you know my butt is really burning. Flame, cherry red is what it's turning. Flame, ends that jalapeno yearning. Flame. Flame, God forbid if you're a trucker. Flame, what hurts like a mother. Flame, get some help, you poor old sucker. Flame.
When you can't sit on a problem, do what David Bowie does. Try Preparation H. Available at the finest drugstores and truck stops nationwide.
Yes, you may see this, Jeff. 26 past 11 at WIOD. We have still a Star line and a Palm Beach line. What do we got, 250 on the tickets for Camilla's house? Okay. Let's go to Alex Jr.
How you doing, Neil?
Okay.
Oh, that movie last night, I felt like taking 10 baths after I saw that grotesque daughter of
Gross.
the director.
Gross.
Especially when you start saying, "Oh, cousin, I love you, cousin." Oh,
Oh, yeah. You had to wonder about him.
12 baths, I felt like.
Sonny would have been embarrassed.
Hey, I was going to tell you, that shot that you heard with the glasses,
Yeah.
they shot the messenger.
They shot the messenger?
Messenger. After he got the glasses, you know,
Yeah.
they shot him.
So, in other words, it was like a suicide mission.
Right. One thing I wanted to ask you,
Well, that's loyalty, I guess, huh?
I guess, who was that guy on the train?
That was Al Neary. That's one of the bodyguards. He was in all three of them.
But what was he supposed to do, though?
He was on the way to the Vatican to see the Pope. To see the Pope. Don't you remember they fixed up the tea? The Pope, the new Pope, he had a little tea at night. Remember she came in, she said, you need a little tea to help you sleep?
Right.
And then he didn't wake up. He had a heart attack in his sleep.
Right.
And then also he shot the, I mean, this isn't giving anything away because it's not that. He shot the Archbishop on a stairway. That's what he did. Remember he had the thing. He had the thing with the candy in the box.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, I remember that, but I didn't know he was the one that shot
And he took the top layer of the candy off, and there was the
Right.
gun and the bullets in the candy box.
Right. Oh, okay.
So it was a dangerous movie to be eating, and whether it was the cannoli or the candy, it was a good time to be on a fast.
You better not be eating during that movie.
Right.
Well, yeah, now I guess it makes sense.
Next time at the Vatican, they'll have Jeff Hader from Pizza Loft. They'll wise up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, see, I think you're right. They kind of like rushed, especially like the bad guys, when they showed the guy with the money and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You really didn't know exactly who they were.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they needed another 45 minutes. No, they really did.
Yes.
Would have been. They would have had to have an intermission, but another 45 minutes. This movie could have been better than either of the first two.
But get rid of the daughter the first 15 minutes.
Oh.
That's what they should.
Man, she was just. And they kept showing her in such a way. They kept photographing her.
Straight
like,
on.
Yeah, close, and you could. With the lips, those bizarre, like somebody had busted her in the mouth and they covered it up with makeup.
Yeah.
Like she had a stiff upper lip, and with those cheeks with the gerbils in them or whatever was in there, man.
That big Larry King schnoz coming
Oh, God, is she grotesque. And when one guy said she was erotic earlier, I almost lost my appetite for life.
Yeah. Well, see, that girl, I don't know if you know, there used to be a game show on MTV known as Remote Control.
Mm-hmm.
She had been on there. You know, they have a bimbo on there.
They have a what?
They had like a bimbo on there during the show. She used to be there, and they had her on for like a week.
She doesn't even qualify. She don't even qualify as bimbo. I'm telling you, or bimbette. She's just. I'm serious. I can't get over it.
Yeah.
Other people in the cast must have been gagging.
Yeah, that's true. Oof. Couldn't help it. But I gotta tell you, I'd give it about an 8 out of 10.
Not bad.
You know, I mean, it could have been a little better, but I guess this guy was starved for time. I heard that he wanted to release it later in the year, and he was rushed.
Yeah, they kept predicting it was going to be postponed, and he just he wanted it on Christmas Day. He's desperate for the big bucks.
Yeah, and I think that reflected it.
Now, if he would have gone to the Vatican and seen the right people over there, he could have probably gotten $600 million, no problem at all. But he don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, Neil.
Have a good one, Alex. 11:30 at WIOD. One open line in Dade, one on the Star Line, one in Palm Beach here on the day after. We have still $250 as our high bid on these tickets for Camilla's house. Pair of club seats, parking pass, dinner for two at Pizza Loft, and a partridge in a pear tree. For the big Blockbuster Bowl, by the way, everybody, of course, saw our great welcome for Joe Paterno's family here in Fort Lauderdale over the weekend. His 22-year-old son came down to see the game with Penn State. Walking around on the Strip in Fort Lauderdale, gets mugged, gets robbed in Fort Lauderdale. And the interesting thing is that Penn State decided to stay in Fort Lauderdale because there was too much crime in Miami. Dade County, too bad reputation, drugs, and crime. We're going to stay where it's safe in Broward, in beautiful Fort Lauderdale.
Millions all over Europe have already thrilled to his magical music. And now, he's coming to America. Crapco Records proudly introduces Zim Farr, master of the slide whistle. Now share with that special someone the sensual sounds of the romantic slide whistle. Yes, it's Zim Farr, master of the slide whistle. And if you act now, you'll also receive Zim Far Out, slide whistle hits from the 60s. Quantities are limited, so order now. Zim Far, master of the slide whistle, and Zim Far Out. Available only on 8-track tapes.
Okay, 11:34. That's a little reprise of some of the Christmas music we had on the coast over the holidays. Boy, they had some of the smarmiest sounding stuff on there. Anyway, we have an open line at Palm Beach, 655-9463, 655-WIOD. I'm not going to put the card in there. It's I need to have the other stuff in there. Like that, right. Okay, let's go to Davey. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay.
Neil, I can only give it a 6.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm not looking for agreement here today. Let's have some interesting arguments about this, then I'll tell you you're full of crap.
All right. Well, first of all, Goodfellas was better. And
well, I didn't see Goodfellas.
The movie went downhill as soon as Joey Saza got shot. He was the star there.
He was the star?
Oh, he was great when he was doing his Rodney Dangerfield impersonation at the meeting. Oh. Great. That was great. And I got a question I can't understand. This Tomasino is supposed to be brilliant old guy, right?
Yeah.
So how come when he's in the car and he sees the killers, he announces, "Hey, you guys are killers!" So of course he gets killed.
Well, he's Alzheimer's.
Oh, that was the reason.
He's got Italian Alzheimer's.
I gotcha. And I have to admit, Coppola's daughter was so ugly, I couldn't finish my popcorn.
Oh man, there were a lot of people filling the boxes back up when she came on the screen.
But you know what? You couldn't take your eye off of her, though. She was that ugly.
I could, easy. Couldn't take your eye off her lips and her cheeks. That's what got to me. The lips and the cheeks.
Yeah, she had that. It was the Mount Rushmore in the right corner.
Man, have you ever seen anybody in your life with a mouth like that?
Oh, boy. Not in public, that's for sure.
She was bizarre.
Oh, it was bad. But other than that, it was enjoyable.
Well, 6 isn't like the end of the world.
No, not bad. But definitely see Goodfellas.
Well, I'll see it when it comes to my satellite somewhere.
You got it.
Okay.
Have a good one.
You too. Coral Springs.
Hi, Neil.
How you doing?
Yeah, first-time caller.
Uh-huh.
Saw the movie yesterday.
Yeah.
A couple of things. Number one, Coppola's father played the conductor in the first party scene when they're celebrating him giving $100 million.
Boy.
That was the conductor.
He got them all in there.
Yeah.
What a maniac.
And also, I don't think you mentioned it, when Garcia comes in and he isn't on the invitation list, and he comes with his mother. That's the original actress, I think, that played Sonny's lover in the first movie.
Yeah, you're right. No, I did see that, and you're absolutely right. Kind of chubby, yeah.
She was still as ugly as she was in the first
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I'll say that about Sonny and his family, they at least had consistently bad taste.
Also, I enjoyed, my wife and I enjoyed the scene where, you think back to the second movie when young Corleone is going to become the Godfather, and he's following, I think it's Don Chichi.
Yeah, right.
Street.
Right.
And that's the same kind of scene when Andy Garcia is going to kill Sosa. It's during the same holiday. He's walking the street and everybody's greeting him. And you're in that same kind of festival.
Yeah, right.
They do the same.
Oh, yeah, there were a lot of similarities. Like I said, the scene with the restaurant where they looked like they were, when the music was the same, and
right.
it was great. It kind of takes you aback.
I also enjoyed then when they have the argument in front of Michael. Vincent is fighting with Sosa, and Vincent screams, and Michael gets up and says, temper just like his father.
Yeah.
And,
but the thing that, I mentioned this before, the thing that, there was a scene just before he had the diabetic stroke or whatever it was supposed to be, which
right.
was kind of a bad scene there, but...
Yeah, I didn't understand what he was saying too much, except
right.
Fredo.
But the son, or the nephew, Andy Garcia, said something the first time, and then Michael got very upset about it and was screaming at him. And then he said it a second time, and he walked over to him, and there was nobody in the room except maybe like Al Neary and the inside people, and Connie, I think, was in there cooking the lasagna. And he walked over to him and said, never tell people what you're thinking. And it didn't make any sense. In other words, it was to bring back that line
right.
that Marlon Brando said to Sonny, but it wasn't the right time for it. It didn't make any sense.
A couple other things. A couple calls ago, I didn't understand what was happening. He said that was Michael who wanted the Pope killed?
Right. No, I said that.
Oh, you said Michael wanted. I didn't think so. I thought...
my feeling was he didn't care. In other words, when they took him out of the opera and they had that little powwow there, and he said, there are men going to try to kill the Pope, and it may be too late, and this and that. My feeling was he didn't really care. As long as they got vengeance on the Archbishop and got him out of the way, because he was doing business with all these other people who were standing in their way
right.
to take over the bank.
Yeah, I thought that they had told him that the deal was going to go through. The Pope had said, the new Pope said the deal can go through. But Mike said it would be too late to save this Pope. So
yeah, I'll have to watch that again.
Yeah, did you see Cisco and Ebert reviewing?
No, I didn't see it. I see that Ebert gave it...
they both gave it thumbs up.
3.5 out of 4.
Yeah.
And Siskel?
Well, I forget which one is the fat one and which is the skinny
Ebert
one.
is
They both liked it. One of them liked the daughter, one of them didn't. The skinny one hated the daughter, the fat one liked the daughter.
Oh, the fat one liked the daughter. Well, Ebert would like the daughter because he's, he doesn't have good taste in those lines anyway.
And what Cisco said is what you've been saying, and I said also to my wife, he said that he saw it the second time, liked it better. He's going to go back the third and fourth time and like it better and better each time.
Oh, absolutely. It was definitely that way with 1 and 2, and this is one where things go by so fast, and I don't know, what theater did you see it in?
I was at the smaller Coral Springs Mall.
Now, how big is that theater?
I think it's at about 500.
Oh, so that's not bad.
Yeah, and it was...
See, the one I saw, it was like the inside of a Band-Aid box. I mean, really small.
Yeah, I've been to the Mercedes Theater a few times.
Man, no wonder they're changing the name of it. I mean, it's just, their intentions are good, but I can't see a movie like this in a theater like that.
Also, when he introduces the I guess it's the Archbishop or the Cardinal to Hagen and his wife, Hagen's son.
Right.
And he says he would love to be in the Vatican. He says, no problem. We can get him a job in the Vatican. For $100 million to get him as Pope.
Of course, no problem.
Anyway, I enjoyed it. I give it a 9.
Okay.
Thanks, Dog.
Thanks. See, there's a 9. How do you like that? That's what I gave it. I said the first one's a 10, the second one's a 9.5 or 9 3/4, and this one's a 9. What the hell is wrong with that? Especially for a lousy $3. What else are you going to do? Go watch Blood-Sucking Pharaohs in Pittsburgh? I can't believe it. That's really the name of a movie. We have an open line in Dade, 751, 1 on that Star line. If you have Bell South Mobility, good luck to you, Star IOD. Boy, that was great, that lunch. I haven't indulged in any of that. All I ate was the eggplant and a couple of very small garlic rolls and some of the mushrooms and sauce. And the reason I had to do that is we're Godfather intensive today. What would this show be without a little bit of Italian indigestion to go along with it, right? Boy, did you notice when they showed the scene, it was in Vincent's house, and there was a scene of the stove. And on the stove, there were 3 pots. In one of them, there was tomato sauce. You could just see inside the upper part of the pot, and there was the tomato sauce, okay? So you knew it was kosher. Surfside.
Yeah, hello. This is Maxwell again. How you doing?
Okay, Maxwell.
All right, listen, I saw that movie, and they say Coppola's daughter's erotic.
I didn't say that.
Well, that's what they're saying, or somebody said
Stevie Wonder said it earlier on the show.
Ann Bishop's more erotic than her.
Exactly.
She looks like
Debbie Ellis is more erotic than whatever her name is.
She looks like a bloody anteater.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just got back from Manchester, and I wrote an Italian ditty about Dora the lifeguard. You want to hear it?
How long is it?
Oh, it's very short.
Okay. Well, I mean the ditty.
It's Italian sounding, from It's Amore by Dean Martin. It goes something like this, he's an actor and lifeguard. He sees men and he gets hard. He's a Dora. And it goes on a little further, but I don't want to tie up the air too long.
Well, that's good. Ta-ta. We have 2 open lines. They're both in Dade County, 751-9463. We ought to get him and Ian together, you know what? They would make a match in heaven. Is that G. Michael McKay on the phone?
That is.
Wow.
George Bell is Jewish.
I believe it.
Absolutely. Neil, movie was great.
You saw it.
I saw it last Thursday at a preview, and it was marvelous.
Aha, another one of these radio freebies.
Do you know it?
Now you're talking. Was it like at a real theater?
Movie Co. Theater on Ives Dairy. Nice theater.
With a big screen?
Yeah, the 2 callers you had were right. Michael Corleone wants the Pope to live. Such a deal. You'll see it when you see it again.
Okay, well, that part, because my mind was racing at that point, because I kept wondering. I'm still confused. The guy that was going to shoot him from the balcony?
Right.
And why the hell did he wait so long? In other words, he had the sights on him there, and then he waited and waited and waited. Then he finally gets ready, and he's already gotten up and moved, and he looks over there, and it's the priest is sitting there, right?
I think he was waiting for the crescendo to mask the sound.
Well, he who hesitates
is lost.
Exactly.
Also, the daughter is just gross. That lip thing.
Oh. The lips and the cheeks. As a matter of fact, it looks like there's a relationship to it. It looks like somebody has mashed in her lips and mangled them, and as a result, all the suction went up into her cheeks and just bloated them out.
She maybe tried to pull a tooth out with a doorknob, and the door swung back into her lip.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, either that or she's been sucking on helium.
One of the two. Hey, I want to thank you for 2 good books you've turned me on to. The Dave Pallone book, which I read a few months back.
Outstanding.
And I'm about halfway through High Treason.
Oh. Man.
It's excellent. If I have to read another damn occipital lobe, I'm going to go crazy.
Can't we get a movie about high treason? Can we get that made into a movie?
You'd think so, and I was just reading High Treason, and then I went to see The Godfather, and it's practically the same thing,
Yeah, right. With different characters, different part of the world, but same general outcome.
But it's great. Well, that's all. I got nothing more.
Have a great one.
All right.
See you, Mike. Okay, 10 minutes after 12 at WIOD. We have an open line in Broward, 524. Mob. And a star line in Palm Beach, I must confess. I'll honest, we're not doing that bad today, considering the fact that the market's up almost 10 points, by the way. Considering the fact that it's the day that everybody's back to the shopping centers. All you people in retail who may be out on your lunch hour in your cars trying to get your brains unscrambled, our serious condolences to you, okay? How'd you like to be working in retail on this day? Oh, man. All you assholes out there that want to schlep to the stores today to take stuff back. What's the rush? Why not wait a couple of days? It won't be as crowded. The salespeople behind the counters won't be as grouchy and hysterical. Man, what the hell is it? You're like sheep. You're like a flock of sheep. God. Every year, it's so damn predictable. Like the busiest shopping day of the year, the day after Thanksgiving. The second wildest day of the year is the day after Christmas when everybody's going back to do their exchanges and refunds and just be... And isn't that ironic? Yesterday's the day we're all supposed to be nice, okay? Somebody forgot to tell the guy in The Godfather that, but we're all supposed to be nice. And today is the day that it's okay, the day immediately, like the minute the clock hits midnight, the little hand hits the big hand, boom, that's it. Now you can be a jerk. You can be obnoxious. Get online, go to the store, and give them a hard time.
I want my money back. I want this, not the right size.
Carry on like some kind of a Meshuggah, okay? It's 11 past noon at WIOD. Thank God we don't do that here on the air, man. We'd be... now, listen, we got 48 minutes to go on the bidding on this. We got 275, am I correct, on the outstanding pair of tickets. Florida State, Penn State, whatever state you want, we got it, okay? Friday night, Joe Robbie Stadium, 2 great club seats. Preferred parking sticker, personally embossed by Jeff Cohen from Pizza Loft, and free dinner for 2 at Pizza Loft before the game. 275 is our bid right at the moment. Money, of course, all goes to Camilla's house. And our Camilla's house total as of this second, I can't get over it, $92,070. Maybe the Archbishop could cut loose a few bucks for the homeless, huh? That's terrible. Weak. My voice is weak. Oh, and you'll be very excited to know that Al Martino is back again, huh? Yeah. And speaking of little subtle scenes in there, it's interesting. He starts singing a song, and of course at that point Michael gets out of the room because he cannot stand the way Al Martino sings. He goes in the kitchen for a little conference, and he's singing a song just for him. He says, hey, I'll be back, get lost. But Connie, now remember he was singing at Connie's wedding in Godfather 1? And Connie came over, and she was like quelling from him. She was just she was down on the knee, and there was a certain... He was singing a song, and she's like emoting. And she did the same exact thing in a very subtle way in this scene yesterday. So these are things to look for when you go out and blow your $3 or $5 at the movie theater, okay? Let's go to Kendall. Hello.
Yeah, Neil, this is Vincent Corleone, and I like the reviews on the show and everything, but
yeah.
I think you should have some respect for my lady there, you know? All you're doing is
Vincent.
talking about how bad she looks. And,
Vincent, you should have been at our last remote. We had some certificates for eyeglasses.
yeah, well, you know,
You must have inherited your father's eyesight, Vincent.
I think they should have given their glasses to Bill Cosford, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go visit him later today. And
2.5 stars. That's pathetic.
But I tell you, I think that if you want to get on somebody, you should get on a George Hamilton because
terrible.
We didn't believe anything he said. He could have been like a pocketbook in the background. He did nothing to help the family.
Yeah.
And it's all a very interesting story, though. I'm sure you agree.
Okay, Vincent.
Okay.
Arrivederci. Enjoy your lasagna. Okay, we're down to 3 stinking calls on the board, which I think means we probably should just play this music the rest of the... What is it?
$300.
$300 on the tickets, huh? Wow. Call came in long distance from the Vatican. I wonder what that means. They're sending somebody over to see the game. No, seriously, we got a $300 bid. We'll take them for another 40 minutes till 1 o'clock, and then that's it. And then we'll have these waiting for you tomorrow at our orifice here at the wonderful Isle of Dreams. We have 2 open lines in Dade County, 751-9463. 751, I love him you so, I'm going to die. What are you doing? You're going to mess up my log now? Oh, boy. Go right ahead. It's the day after Christmas. No Sicilian can refuse any offer on the day after Christmas. That's what we're told. Okay, let's go to Lauderdale Lakes. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
This is Frank from London. Remember me at the last remote?
How can I forget, Frank?
How you doing?
Are you wearing your Zuba pants?
Yeah, I gave them to the Queen, and she's also got the sticker. Unbelievable.
Well, that's great. She'll look better than ever.
I wanted to be your first caller today, and I got up real early and everything to come over to my friend's house.
And what happened?
My bloody car wouldn't start.
Your bloody car?
No, it wouldn't start. I couldn't believe it.
You people sure have a way with words, you know it?
And I wanted to talk about The Godfather. I was there yesterday, the first in line, and I loved it. It was a good film.
You didn't wear your Zuba pants to the movie, did you?
No.
Thank God for
I had
that.
my suit on.
You had a suit on?
I felt like a Corleone.
Yeah.
You know what was funny at the beginning
now
of
let
the
me ask you a question before you go ahead and give your you analyze this film.
Go on.
Are the British very much into The Godfather?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Are they?
They love all that gangster stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what was funny when
They like those bloody movies.
They like those bloody movies. I don't know where you watched it. I heard you watched it in some shoebox, but
I watched it in a little shoebox with old Mother Hubbard.
I watched that at Coral Ridge Mall there on Federal and Oakland Park on the corner there. Do you know that movie theater?
Where is it, Coral Ridge?
Coral Ridge Mall. Coral Ridge 10 AMC movie theater.
On Federal Highway.
Yeah, that's it.
That's where I saw The Exorcist the first time. That's years ago. And when I went in, there were young people coming out throwing up all over the place. I'm not joking about that. There were people coming out throwing up while I was waiting online to go see The Exorcist.
Yeah?
Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
Yeah, well, you British are big into pea soup anyway.
What'd you think of Eli Wallace?
Terrible.
Did you? The only movie I liked him in was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
You liked him?
In The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Right.
He wasn't very good in that.
No.
But you know what was funny? At the beginning of the movie, the whole theater was dead silent, and then the music come up, and everybody started laughing and got excited.
Yeah, right. Well, there was a lot of anticipation. The only thing in our theater, what is with these commercials in movie theaters now? You know, I don't usually go out to these movies because I have the satellite dish and I'm cheap and I watch them at home. But they have all these commercials. Joe's Trucking, it comes on like for 2 seconds, and then there's another one comes on for Emma's enema bag. And
that's right.
Oh, man, I don't want to see that crap. And then all these things about no smoking in the theater. They don't know how to show movies anymore like they used to, you know?
Everybody's
they don't know
looking at their watches and everything. When's the bloody movie going to start?
Right. It used to be years ago, there was always a double feature, and first there was cartoons.
Yeah, that's right.
There was cartoons, then the first movie would come on, then in between there would be previews of coming attractions, and then there would be a second feature. You'd spend like 4.5, 5 hours in the movie. It'd be great, you know, for like $1, $2. You'd make yourself sick with candy and popcorn. It was tremendous. Now they shovel you in a little shoebox there, and it's, I don't know.
Well, what they used to do in London, they used to show 2 movies, a normal film, then the main film. But now, like you're saying, they just stick all these stupid, bloody commercials on.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're
too much bloody stuff in there.
When's
so
the next remote?
I bet you had the hots for Coppola's daughter.
Oh, no.
Wait a minute, what is her name? I got to get her name right. Her name is Sophia.
Sophia.
Yeah.
That was it, something like that.
She played Mary Corleone.
That's it, yeah. But she was like that one Sonny would do. In the first Godfather, the one he took upstairs, she just looked like she was ugly.
Yeah,
Remember
only much uglier. Much. Well, listen, our next remote is a week from Friday at Calder Racetrack, 10 to 2.
Oh, we'll be there.
Okay.
Definitely.
Wear your Zuba pants.
I will do, yeah.
Okay, you'll stand out in the crowd. Have a great day, Frank.
And you take care, Neil. Enjoy your show.
See ya.
Take care.
I'm reading this review in Review Magazine. And it says, now I don't agree with him about Wallach. It just mentions him in passing that he's impressive. He's about as impressive as Poopy Campo on a Today Show. It says, the film's main flaw, unavoidably, is Sofia Coppola in the important but not critical role of Michael's daughter. Ungainly, afflicted with a Valley Girl accent, and not an actress who can hold her own in this august company, the director's daughter simply doesn't cut it. This renders the picture's main romantic element uncompelling and essentially unbelievable, and undercuts the force of the ending. Unfortunate casting decision was made after the original actress, Winona Ryder, had to bow out at the start of the production and created a furor within the company. Sad to say, the naysayers were correct. Need we say more? Now they're very, very diplomatic. Ungainly, it says, yeah. Ugly as death. Tamarack.
Yeah, Neil?
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little about the brief history of that movie. When they were making that movie, and when Winona Ryder was cast for it, I thought, like most people, if you look at her, she's really an up-and-coming star. She's attractive. And the thing is, if you saw her at Beetlejuice, she can act. She's really very good, and she's pretty. The thing was, I'm not inside Hollywood, but she had a nervous, quote, nervous breakdown. So her boyfriend, Johnny Depp, flew in, picked her up on the set, literally carried her out, and flew her back to California, wherever the hell they were going. So she just broke down. For what reason? I have no idea.
Well, she probably saw him in Edward Scissorhands.
I think she loved.
She couldn't handle the makeup.
Right. She freaked out. For whatever, they didn't give her a real reason. I guess it's none of our business really to know why she couldn't handle it. Anyhow, I think it would have really made her a major star. Because she's very well known now, but that would have really put her over the top. Like,
yeah, that could have been a great role.
That's right, because you think when her hair is dark and she's got that kind of Albany complexion, and she would have been perfect. Alabaster complexion, and she would have been beautiful for that part.
Yeah.
Purely physical, and she can't act, so that really hurt. So what happened?
And I have a feeling she wouldn't have said, don't spend it all in one place quite the same way. Wouldn't have had quite the same
Well,
impact.
she might have said, I won't say that line.
Yeah, right.
Anyhow, it created, like that reviewer just said, it did create a tremendous vacuum in the set. Now, you got to realize that at a particular point in time, literally, millions of dollars are already been spent on this production, right? So you got to here's Francis Ford Coppola with his house practically being taken over by creditors, right? His vineyards are going to be shot. He's got these major stars. He's out trying to get, at that point, just lost Robert Duvall, can't get him, so he's panicking, right? The production is that's in a tremendous amount of trouble. So the guy was right. So what he did was out of, necessity, he cast the first person, he thought, if you remember back, his daughter starred with him in another production. You remember New York Stories?
Yeah.
Okay, that was a disaster, too. And she was in it. Again, nepotism. Now, think back. There was Woody Allen, Francis Ford Coppola, and I think maybe De Palma all had little vignettes. And that movie was disastrous. She was horrible in that. The reviewers, if you think back, the reviewers came down so hard on her in that movie. She was terrible. It was like a complete psychophantic delivery. Horrible. Yeah. And yet
Well, let me say this to you. Even if her acting was good, which she couldn't act her way out of a paper sack, which quite frankly she should have the sack over her head.
Yeah.
But even if her acting was good, her looks are so grotesque. I mean, if she was playing a different kind of a role, I can understand it, you know.
I know what you're saying,
But in this particular kind of a role, like Apollonia was in the first movie, she was supposed to be a real hot piece, okay? And she looks like death on wheels. I mean, she's just gruesome. So her looks detracted from it so tremendously that even if she could act, it wouldn't have made any difference.
I agree with you. I think it's hard to believe I say this, but the mere casting of her, I think actually could add half a point onto the total of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the ideal situation if you would have had Winona Ryder and Robert Duvall.
And Duvall would have been, it would have been a 10.
It would have been I don't know if people would appreciate it, it would have been an absolute masterpiece. Like you talk about Citizen Kane or Godfather 1, this would have been a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Because with all its flaws, and it has some, the writing of it, you got to think about Coppola. He did it hell because he directed it. He co-wrote it.
Right.
He cast the good music. Even not like his father's
music was great, yeah.
It's a lot of burden for one human being.
Right.
So what I'm saying is this production company, the vacuum was filled by the nearest person. That was his daughter. I mean, he could have got some other unknown. I think he should have gotten another unknown, attractive unknown. So saying, like you said, even if she couldn't act, the attractive unknown would have been attractive. So when Garcia would have been attracted to her, he said, I see why. She can't act, but at least she's good looking.
Right.
So that's the point I have to make. And with the history before, if you had seen New York Stories, you know this is going to be a total disaster. All the prognosticators were right when they said this is the weak point of the movie. Forget about Eli Roth, that's small potatoes. This was the major Achilles heel of a movie that could have been a perfect 10. It was like Nadia Comaneci falling off the high beam.
Yeah.
It's otherwise you have a perfect movie. But other people said this movie was a perfect setup for Godfather 4.
Oh yeah.
But I predict, and I'm not an expert. I predict this will be a continuation. Godfather 4, Godfather 5, with Andy Garcia becoming the older Don. It'll be perfect because this is the kind of story. As long as there is a mafia, it can be told forever.
Right.
Infinitum.
You bet.
Okay, Neil.
Thanks a lot.
All right, bye.
Okay, 12:35, and we hope that Sophia Coppola is listening in today from the West Coast. We have an open line in Broward, 524, one on the Star Line, Star IOD, and Palm Beach is as dormant as a church mouse, if we can say that today on the day after Christmas, 655-9463. 655-WI... Oh, I'm sorry. WID. Hi, Aaliyah.
Neil, how's it going?
Okay.
Neil, I saw the movie yesterday and I loved it.
Well.
Okay, I just feel like the way you feel about Tom Hanks, I feel that way about George Hamilton.
Yeah.
How do you feel about George Hamilton?
I hate George Hamilton, but again, now see, if Robert Duvall was in it, that character could have been given a more meaningful role, and it would have added something to the movie.
That's what I told
George
my
Hamilton didn't detract, he didn't add, he was just there. And thank God they had enough sense not to give him a lot of lines, not to let him do much. He was just there, which is all he needed to be. And the less we saw him, the happier I was. I don't like him. He didn't fit in there with them. We didn't find out anything about him or what he was supposed to be, and that's fine.
Okay, Neil, your audience is missing a lot of the movie.
We don't want to give it away.
No, I don't want to give it away. But when they go to the board meeting, the guy that gets killed at the end by a suicide, the guy who comes and sticks the thing in him, he's the one that's running everything. He's the main mafia guy in Italy.
Lucchese.
Lucchese, right.
Right.
And Don Tomasino, when he got killed, the guy goes up to Michael and he tells him, I want revenge, I want to do something. And he goes, one day I'm going to ask you for a favor. So that's the reason he went over. It's a suicide mission. He's doing it for revenge for killing Don Tomasino.
I see.
That's why he went. And the reason...
But you know, that line again, there were so many points that were throwbacks to Godfather 1.
Yeah.
Because remember in Godfather 1, Marlon Brando says in that opening scene, he says, someday, and that day may never come, I'll ask you for a favor, in exchange for this justice, and then, of course, when Sonny gets shot on the causeway, they take his body to this guy who's the funeral director.
Right. Right, no, they're always asking for favors for things that they do. And the reason, I heard you mention earlier, the reason that he tells Vicente, don't tell the people the way you feel, is so that he learns, even if he's in front of his sister or in front of trusted people, that Godfather's not supposed to show anybody the way he feels. He's supposed to keep it. So that line has meaning. Everything his father taught him, he tries to teach it to the Godfather's going to be. He's kind of grooming him to take over for it. And the reason they put the gun inside the candy, he's going to go to the Vatican. So he's got to walk in and he's going to be searched. So he wants to get it through. There's a lot of little things that, like you say, when you see it the second time, I've seen both movies like 16 times, and I'm going to see this one about 4 or 5 times, so I can really understand it.
Wait a minute, you've seen this one 4 or 5 already?
No, I want to.
Oh, you're going to,
I want to see it 4 or 5 times so that, I thought it was great. I don't think it's like 1 or 2. But, standing on its own, like you said, it's Godfather. Okay, so there's a little bit, there's some funny parts where, in 1 or 2, nobody laughed. In the movie where I went to see it, there's some parts there that people were actually laughing.
And some people are saying, well, they were laughing and it wasn't supposed to be funny. That's a lot of crap. For example, in the early part of the movie where Al Pacino is making fun of Andy Garcia because he's so much like his father, and he comes in and they're trying to make some peace, and right away he's getting temperamental and flying off the handle, and he's mocking him, and it's funny. It's funny. Hysterical.
He tells Frank Sinatra, I'm going to go listen to some Tony Bennett records.
Right.
Some parts are. I thought I'm like the other guy. I think you got to be Latin to feel this way, but I thought she was great. I liked the daughter.
Wait a minute. You thought she was attractive?
Yeah, I'm like Andy Garcia. I'm Cuban. I thought she was great looking. I would have, I'm kind of sad they killed her.
Every Cuban guy who is listening right now is impaling himself with a letter opener or some sharp object.
I don't think so.
Are you telling me that Cuban guys have taste that bad?
That bad.
Even George is stabbing himself with a stiletto.
She has some nice facial
She had
features,
nice lips.
Nice body. I mean, I like that woman.
I think what you had in mind has already been done too many times in the past. Is why her lips look like that. She's like, oh man.
She looks like.
You know what her lips look like? Do you remember in Godfather 1 after Al Pacino got smacked in the head by McCloskey? He got with a black eye.
Right.
And his cheek was all bald, his lips were all like off the... that's what she looks like.
She has
without
Jagger
the punch
lips.
in the eye.
Mick Jagger lips.
Oh, no. She's like, and those cheeks.
Well, I loved it, Neil. It was good talking to you.
Okay.
Okay, take care.
Man. You Cuban guys, man, I hope that he wasn't speaking for you. George says, count me out. Boy, it detracted from the movie. When you go see it, if you haven't seen it yet, which is most of you, when you go to see it and you look at her, it will detract because you'll keep, first of all, if you've eaten lunch or dinner already, you'll keep trying to keep the food down. And secondly, you'll keep thinking consciously that why did he do this? I mean, there's such a great epic that he's put together here, these now 3 of them. Why did he allow nepotism and his personal feelings interfere with his judgment? I mean, she just, sensuous lips. Even my dogs would kick her out of the house, I'd guarantee. By the way, I just want to say this. The movie was started, like I said, at my theater, at the Merced Theater, 15 minutes late yesterday. And they've got all these ads that go up there for Joe's Plumbing and Ed's toilet bowl fixing. And it's crass the way they do things in all the movie theaters today. And people are starting to rattle their popcorn and their cages. I mean, all right, we've been sitting here. Of course, everybody got there early because the place was packed. So you've been sitting there already 35, 40, 45 minutes. Let's get going. And now the lights have already gotten a little bit dim. Now they go completely dark. And there's that black background, and it says Paramount Pictures Presents. And all of a sudden, there's like a hush. Herman's Hermits is singing. There's kind of a hush. that falls over the theater, and then in the background. Now, the music is great, but it's like a variation of the music from the first two movies, but different, but it's great. And then all of a sudden in the background, behind the Paramount Pictures, starts... And you can hear everybody in the audience gasping for oxygen. Of course, some of them were from Sunrise, so it was to be expected. And at that moment on, you should be in heaven, okay? Because those of you who are real aficionados of 1 and 2, I mean, what the hell more could you want, right? So she was ugly, and Eli Wallach was a statue, and George Hamilton's a putz. We already knew that, okay? Mobile in Boca.
Yes, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I'm a first-time caller and a Sicilian on a portable phone.
A Sicilian with a portable phone, with a direct line to the Vatican, okay?
I was born in Sicily in 1945 and came over in 1949. And
you weren't born in Corleone, were you?
Well, nearby. Actually, I was born in a little city called Cefalù, which is between Palermo and Messina.
Palermo?
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
And I have family still there, but we won't get into that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see the movie this afternoon with my wife. What do you think?
What do I think what?
Well,
I gave it a 9.
A 9?
On a scale of 10.
Oh, wonderful.
I gave the first one a 10, the second one a 9.5, and this one a 9.
Well, I need your help because I can't remember where my favorite scene from 1 and 2 came from. If you play are you playing the music? I'll do this scene, yes.
Go ahead.
Michael, always remember, keep your friends close to you, and your enemies even closer. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where was that from, Neil?
Where was it from?
Yes, Neil.
Well, it's obviously from the first one because Marlon Brando wasn't in the second one. George says the first one. That's great, George.
Very
good work.
Very good.
I don't remember. I mean, I can't believe I can't remember, but it was in the first one.
I need your help, Neil.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Well, we're getting old. Michael gets very old at the end of this one, okay? Real old.
Yes, I
Very
feel old
old.
right now, and I'm out of material, Neil.
Have a good time, my friend.
Thank you.
Say hi to the Pope. Tell him to give him 3.5 points on the game Sunday. Okay, 12:58 at WIOD. We have an open line in Broward County, 524 Corleone, 524 WIOD. Couldn't we have brought back Fat Clemenza one more time? He'd have done a job on those cannoli. He'd have probably saved that guy. Man. Fort Lauderdale.
Yes, hi, Neil?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm just a little curious. If a real Godfather had found out that his daughter was stooping the cousin, wouldn't he have him castrated?
Well, I think he was so glad, in spite of all his protestations, I think he was so pleased that anybody even looked at her. I think that subliminally he was fighting those urges.
Oh, maybe you're right. And number two...
Did you see it? Did you see it?
Yes.
Wouldn't you agree with me that she's one of the most ghastly things ever to walk the face of the earth?
Unbelievable.
Even Bigfoot wouldn't look at her from a distance.
Diane Keaton kept saying throughout the entire movie what a douchebag he was, and then at the end she tells him how much she loves him.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
I'm going to love you so much, I'm going to die. Well, she was thinking of Clemenza and the great meatballs he used to make with that pasta. Have a great day, Pazan. Okay. Here we go. Well, what timing, huh? That was incredible. Oh, I faded that out when I recorded that because the card isn't long enough. That goes on forever. Now, there must be a soundtrack, right? For every movie, there's a soundtrack, especially when we have an epic performance like this. Let's get that over here right now. I bet you our friends at Specs have already got it, right? Must have. And the music is very similar, but different.
This is the Neil Rogers 1 to 2 hour. You got a problem with that? Oh!
That's my opinion. I'm Mike Disney.
Hello, I'm Frank Bartles, and this here's my partner, James Brown. As the weather starts getting too hot, we hope you will reach for one of these. New Bartles and James Brown wine cooler.
It tastes good.
They come in 3 funky flavors. Gravity grape,
Get down.
prime of passion fruit,
Oh, kid myself.
and my personal favorite, papaya.
Papaya's got a brand new bag.
It'll get you off faster than a big city lawyer. And a single pack serves 6 to 10. Just like James.
New Bartles and James Brown wine coolers. The cooler, made in the cooler.
Now behind bars everywhere.
And, thank you for your support.
You see they let him out yesterday? He did some kind of a concert for some douchebags. 107 at WIOD. We have an open line in Palm Beach, of course, 655 WIOD. During the news break, man, we're raising money for Camilla's house, even like by accident. I'm standing in our almost empty programming orifice with Mr. Riley, who's fresh back from California with a banjo on his thing. And Stephanie Bromfield comes in from the newsroom, and three of her, one of her friends has given her 3 checks, let's put it that way, from her little circle of friends. We should only have friends like that. 600 big ones. How do you like that? So we now have $92,670 in counting. This has been a very productive day. What is it you're looking for? What do we need? What did you lose? Is that guy in the mobile, is he around here somewhere that's got the Godfather 3 tape? Because I'd give him $100. I'd give him a crisp $100 bill. Because that's what he wants for it. He's got a videotape, virgin, pirate, whatever. Of what? Is that on? Of Godfather 3. What do you mean of what? Of the movie we've been talking about today, Blood-Sucking Pharaohs in Pittsburgh.
Hello.
I don't hear it.
Twisted on it?
Twisted. Twist what? Now try that one. Jeez, what a... This is getting like FTL.
Jeez. Hello. Oh, hello.
This is getting like FTL, man.
Yeah, I already saw the movie. In my car on the way down since 10 o'clock.
No, we did not. Listen, I've been very careful.
I know the ugly chick gets offed in the end.
Who said
I know
that?
I didn't say that. It's a tribute to the Three Stooges. I know that...
what does that mean? It's a tribute. So is the Greg Bedell show. What does that mean?
I know that
and they're pretty upset about it, too.
Got me. And I know the Archbishop killed the Pope. And I know that tea was his last drink. And
but that's obvious. I mean, that's
and I know the guy the priest carries around little Hershey bars.
Do we already know that John Paul I died very fast, like mysteriously?
Right. Little puff of white smoke.
In perfect. No, the white smoke goes up
when they get a new one. Yeah, and then he died.
That's in a movie. We see that when they picked him. There was the white smoke.
Okay.
There was a lot of smoke in the movie. Most
and then
priests
carry around orange juice and like little cigarette girls and Hershey bars
orange
and all
juice,
of that.
Candy bars, Pope trinkets, tchotchkes.
So I'd give it an 8.5.
You'll like it.
You think?
I don't know.
I didn't enjoy Godfather 2, and I thought Godfather 1 was just wonderful. And I read it. One of the few books that I just thoroughly enjoyed. I could read the book 3 or 4 times.
You did not enjoy the second one? The book was great.
You know, well, probably because I needed to see it a couple of times. It's one of those things. You do get lost. There's a lot of family stuff to follow. Yeah, and even then, it like lost me.
I'll tell you, the part that really is good is toward the last third, which you know there's going to be a fourth one, is when they get into Suds Coleman's bastard son.
Yeah.
That part is incredible. And Connie is getting all hysterical about it. Yeah.
We had that on Friday.
And then, did you hear the article about the guy in Fort Lauderdale?
Talk about a man who was stunned.
I'm speechless on that. I don't know what to say.
Well, then you could be just like him, because he was too.
They keep doing all these short jokes with...
people like George, I see George, and he gives me a high five. Yeah, Suds is going to join us. People with kids know how miserable you can get, and it's just like we got another one in the
they don't have any?
Oh, Suds? No way. He didn't even think he could do it, I don't think. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't happen by osmosis. Did somebody tell him that?
Well, one woman called in and,
man,
pointed that out. No, he's 46, and I said he can play a little wheelchair catch.
And so like when his kid is like I said the other day, a kid's going to be 7, 8 years old, he'll go to school, and they'll say, Johnny, what does your father do? They'll say, oh, he's in that broadcaster's nursing home.
Exactly.
In Orlando.
Well, when they get like 2 and they get that little walker, it can borrow Suds.
Wow.
It's going to be great.
So it was purely accidental.
Yeah. And I don't really know.
Well, the rumor is going around it's purely Oriental, but we'll see when it gets born.
Well, it was a surprise to him, so it could be.
Evidently, yeah. Maybe she pulled a little fast one, so to speak. Huh? Maybe she's been getting tired of waiting all these years. How long have they been married?
6 years.
Only 6 years?
Yeah.
Well, is this like how many?
How many what?
How many wives is this? Like his?
Oh, this is his second one.
Oh, second.
Yeah.
And he didn't have any from the first one?
No.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, maybe something happened to him.
I asked whether she misread the days of the week or there was a pinhole or what.
Yeah. Wonder what got into him.
I don't know.
Or her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know
but
that.
I'll tell you, if you wanted to see a look, I wish I had a camera that day.
Wow.
Because when he found out, it was just, he was...
Boy.
Yeah.
That's a little old to be getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to screaming and gnashing and wailing and changing diapers, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. June Allison does that, and she's older than that.
Yeah, that's true. So how was Mommy? She was hysterical. You went to L.A. for the weekend.
Yeah.
She wasn't expecting you. You hadn't
man,
seen her in years.
Yeah.
Dressed up like Santa Claus.
Year and a half, I dressed up like Santa Claus.
With your Zuba pants.
Gave her a car, and I had it.
You gave her the Cobra?
No, I gave her a car.
You gave her a car?
I bought her a brand new car.
Man, you're making a hell of a lot more money than some people are letting on. I'll tell you that.
For Mom, sometimes you go out on a limb. You know?
Not me. I give my mom a check every month. I pay her rent, her utilities.
Well, there you go. So I'm just making car
paltry
payments.
diet.
I'm making car payments. She had a car that she's had since '78. It had 81,000 miles on it.
At one point, now my mom's got an old, well, it's not that old. It's like an early '80s Corolla, which she
She's
just had
great in a vet,
which she just had painted.
Yeah.
And at one point, we were riding somewhere, and in fact, I was driving her car because it's like my brother was here for the holidays, and we were visiting my rich aunt in Hallandale, who's rubbing her nickels together today, and I drove the Toyota, and man, that thing is not for me. I mean, the Toyota's a nice car now, but this is an old one. And it's only got like 30,000 miles because all she does is go to the store and back on every day. And in a moment of weakness, I said, boy, I got to get you a new car. And don't go buy me any cars. And boy, that's all she had. Okay, no problem. If she's happy with it,
she call you up and remind you, though, not to buy her any cars?
And talk about Corvettes. My luck. Yesterday, I went there early yesterday because I went to the movie at the 1 o'clock showing.
Yeah.
So I went to lunch at Mommy's early. So we're watching The Price is Right, okay?
Yeah.
And the curtain opens and they're giving away a brand new 91 Corvette. And it's the game where they have 5 numbers and like they're all one number off.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Which you can never win.
Now no, she didn't win it.
And the higher price
But how much do you think? Now, I said to her, this is going to be about 35, 36,000, maybe 38 if it's like loaded with everything.
They probably had it at about 41 to 46.
$46,000.
Yeah.
Now, those prices on that show are so inflated.
Maximum.
And my mother even said, which was surprising, because I said to her, my car's sticker priced at $35,800 some bucks.
Yeah.
And she even said, the prices are so inflated on that show. But I know that when I left, in the back of her mind, she's thinking, $46,000 he paid for that damn thing? You just know it, you know.
Which you would think, if they wanted
to... Should have seen the price on a Ferrari, Ma.
If they want some advertisement, they'd get the prices down. So they'd say, hey, I could afford a Corvette. And people are saying
$46,000.
I never could afford that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't say I couldn't afford it. But if you gave your... he's got a Cobra. He's getting a Viper.
I sold
a Viper.
I sold the Cobra.
And he's got that Porsche, that 911 sitting out there. Or is it a 911? 930?
It's 930. Well, 930? Same thing.
Ladies' car. And
no, that's a 928. That's what you have.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
You want to buy it? Boy, do I hate that car. God.
It's a nice car.
You want a good car, go over to Toyota. I got to do a break.
People
I got to do
leave their junk cars out to oxidize and everything. This is your junk car. Your 928 Porsche.
You're right.
Yeah. And you leave it out, and it's like red, but now it's orange.
Well, I want to have the only orange 928 in town.
Cool.
And speaking of that, there's a whole bunch of turquoise metallic Vets just like mine. They're all over the place now.
Really? Well, you're a trendsetter.
My neighbors, I went out yesterday, my neighbors right next door to me, like 2 houses away, they had company, and guess what car they had? My car.
You're trying to keep up with the Rogers.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I was so pissed. I backed into it with a Porsche.
Good.
And I pulled it back in, drove the Vet out.
Okay.
Anyway, now I said at the beginning of the show we're going to do 100 this week. We're not, because I forgot it's Wednesday. I keep thinking it's Monday. I don't know what day it is. During these holidays, every day is like you don't know what day they are. But I kept thinking that. And so we'll go over 95 by the end of this week, because all we got is tomorrow and Friday's mail. But then on Monday, we got the whole weekend mail and the Monday mail. So sometime early next week or in the middle of next week, we will reach our goal of 100, and it'll be... wouldn't it be great if we could do it on Monday? Because that would be before the new year. That would be incredible. And then whatever we get the next 15 days after that will be gravy. Frosting on the cake, right, Sandy?
Right.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
From Sandy and Bobby fame in Kendall, ladies and gentlemen, one of the great superstars, a rising star in the broadcast horizon.
Well,
soon perhaps to have their own show.
You might not think so great of me after I review The Godfather.
You did not listen. I mean, look, if everybody liked vanilla ice cream with bean specks in it, we'd all be like Johnny Dark.
Well,
boring.
Let me tell
okay?
you. I saw it. I saw 1. I saw 2. I loved them. I love Al Pacino. I went there taking it as the 3rd. I mean, I didn't compare them to the other 2.
You took it as the turd?
I took it as a turd, okay, on its own, and I give it a 4.5. I just couldn't connect with the family anymore.
You couldn't connect with them? Well, they're all
too
dead.
Long. see,
they're all dead, Sandy.
See, I figured it out, okay? They made it into, like, this story, you know, this action type of movie, and they kind of just didn't go back where...
Well, didn't you think that the
they
first
just
one was...
took up
Wait a
exactly
minute. Wait a
what?
minute. You said action kind of... Wasn't the first one an action movie
But
with
it was a
killings and
family
shootings
saga.
and meetings?
The whole thing about the movie was that it was a saga, and it was showing the relationships, the intertwine between the people, and that wasn't there in this one.
It wasn't there?
All this time passed, right?
With Kay and Michael and Connie and the relationships
Connie,
weren't there?
take Connie, for instance.
And Don Tomasino?
I don't believe her relationship with Michael now. I mean, she was sitting there giving orders, you know, when they killed her.
But this is 20 years later.
I know, but Michael killed her husband. She knows he killed Fredo, and that scene that she says, oh, poor Fredo, he drowned.
But you're missing the point. She's a Corleone. See, she's one of the family. And after all of this other...
But he was no longer in that anymore. And she was fine. She was his advisor, and he was a respected businessman.
She wasn't really the advisor. She was like calling the shots. She was the head honcho.
She was there. She was there for him.
He was like a kind of almost a vegetable
But that's what
at
I'm
this
saying.
point.
And he was respectable, and he had gotten out of all that, and then she kind of, like, pulls him back in, too. And I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
You know?
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
But it's true. And then even the part that he kind of gives the blessing to Vincent.
What do you mean, kind of?
Okay.
He makes him a Corleone. He anoints him. He kisses him on the ring.
The whole thing, it just didn't have that feel to it. I mean, I didn't even realize that's what he was going to do. It wasn't like they played it up and they had this intense scene that, yes, he is now a Godfather, and he's not. It was like, okay.
What do you mean he's not? He is. Who are you to be calling the shots?
The feeling was there. It was like bad sex, okay? It was just like that's.
No, that was Sophia Coppola.
Oh, and do you really believe she would fall in love with her first cousin in 1979? What girl, okay, do you know from a high-class family with money would go after her own cousin?
Well, first of all, he was like an illegitimate. Nobody knew who the hell what he was.
She knew he was her first cousin.
Well, she didn't care. She was so desperate she'd fallen with my dog. She
was a slut, okay?
Exactly.
And it was disgusting. I mean, she was like Daddy's little girl smiling and dancing, and it was a big joke. I mean,
no, Daddy didn't want no part of her. You notice he never got anywhere near her.
Well, but she's the
she
one
made
that
him sick to his
the
stomach.
check
That's why he kept getting sick all the time.
It just didn't do it. I mean, it just like.
Well, let me ask you this.
Had little flashbacks.
Did you like it? You hated it?
I didn't hate it.
All right, now what about your husband?
Let's put it this way.
All right, let's give your husband equal time.
Wait a minute.
Did he hate
couldn't hate it because Al Pacino's in it, and I mean, I just love Al Pacino, and he's a great actor. And there, you know, it had its moments. I mean, okay, the moment where he confesses. Okay, and then the guy tells him, the priest or whoever that guy is, he tells him...
What do you mean a priest? He was to be the Pope a little later. About 5 minutes later,
but he wasn't
was
the Pope yet. And he confesses, right? He opens up his soul. And then he tells him, you know, but I how can I repent? Or, you know, I'm... You know, how am I... And he says, in order to repent, you have to suffer. It's going to happen. And in the end, it happens. When he lets out that wail, that last scene, that's excellent. Those are the only two scenes of the whole movie I really respected. And only because Al Pacino could pull that off, but everything else is a little Mickey Mouse type, you know?
You're not answering my question.
What?
Your husband hated too?
He didn't hate it. He just said, well, you know, it's okay. You know, I wouldn't have... He wouldn't recommend it highly, you know? I mean, when I sat in the middle of it and I was thinking to myself, maybe I should have seen Home Alone. I knew it was, like, bad, you know? And I'm not like that because I like... Misery was a great movie, and Goodfellas topped Godfather 3 by a long shot. By a long shot. I mean, that was a good movie.
I kept hearing that Goodfellas was like a comedy.
Goodfellas is an excellent movie.
I keep hearing it's a comedy.
It's not a comedy.
I don't want to see a comedy about the mafia.
But it's not a comedy. Life, no matter what kind of life you're in, has its funny moments, its serious moments, and that's what it was. It was the life. I mean, you follow this guy from a kid to an adult involved with the mafia until later, and of course there's going to be funny parts of him growing up. You know, and his idea of what the mafia was, he was a kid. And there's funny scenes in there.
Well, maybe we'll do Once Upon a Time in America Part 2. We'll make it about 6 hours long, and then at the end this time we'll let everybody know what it's all about.
I think that the third flopped, but the fourth is going to pick up, and they're going to... They could have done so much with so many scenes, and they cut them. It was like one-liners, two-liners, that's it, here's the scene, it's over,
Well, it needed... Would you agree with me? It needed to be at least a half hour longer?
I would have sat through 2 hours more of that
right.
if they
In other
had
words, there were
filled the
scenes
scene.
that you could tell that were chopped that left you feeling a little empty, thinking, boy, there needed to be a little more said here.
When he made him
and we
into a
just
Don.
rushed our way through it.
When he made him into a Don, I mean, I really didn't believe that was good. It was so weird.
Sandy,
you know?
have a great life. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
4.5.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. 128 at WIOD, and we'll be right back.